So, anyone can understand what is spread all over the body. It is consciousness. Whether it is John Keats' poetry which enters your blood and flows throughout your body, or everyone is conscious of the pains and pleasures of the body in part or as a whole. This spreading of consciousness is limited within one's own body. The pains and pleasures of one body are unknown to another. అంటే నీ తలంపులు వేరే వాళ్ళకి ఎలా అర్థమవుతాయి? अपना जो एनाटॉमी है, सिस्टम है, केमिस्ट्री है, सबको कैसे समझ में आते हैं? Therefore, each and every body is the embodiment of an individual soul, and the symptom of the soul's presence is perceived as individual consciousness. This soul is described as 1/10 or 1/10,000th part of the upper portion of the hair point in size. Hare Rama, the Svetasvatara Upanishad. This is Svetasvatara Upanishad and confirms this. When the upper point of a hair is divided into 100 parts, and again each of such parts is further divided into 100 parts, and each part is the measurement of the dimension of the spirit soul. How can we see it without a very powerful microscope? Similarly, in the Bhagavatam, the same version is stated. There are innumerable particles of spiritual atoms which are measured as 1/10,000th of the upper portion of the hair. Therefore, the individual particle of spirit soul is a spiritual atom smaller than the material atoms, and such atoms are innumerable. The person who always lives with atom bombs cannot understand this. This very small spiritual spark is the basic principle of the material body. And the influence of such a spiritual spark is spread all over the body as the influence of the active principle of some medicine spread throughout the body. This current of the spirit soul is felt all over the body as consciousness. I think you all got it. You are able to understand it. And that is the proof of the presence of the soul. And layman can understand that the material body minus consciousness is a dead body, and this consciousness cannot be revived in the body by any means of material administration. Therefore, consciousness is not due to any amount of material combination, but to the spirit soul. In the Mundaka Upanishad or Mundaka Upanishad, the way you want to pronounce, the measurement of the atomic spirit soul is further explained. The soul is atomic in size and can be perceived by perfect intelligence. This atomic soul is floating in the 5 kinds of air: prana and aprana, vyana, samana and udana. Is situated within the heart and spreads its influence all over the body of the embodied living entities. When the soul is purified from the contamination of the 5 kinds of material air, its spiritual influence is exhibited. The Hatha Yoga system is meant for controlling the 5 kinds of air, encircling the pure soul by different kinds of sitting postures, not for any material profit but for liberation of the minute soul from the entanglement of the material atmosphere. So the constitution of the atomic soul is admitted in all Vedic literatures, and it is also actually felt in the practical experience of any sane man. Only the insane man can think of this atomic soul as all pervading Vishnu Tattva. The influence of the atomic soul can be spread all over a particular body. According to the Mundaka Upanishad, this atomic soul is situated in the heart of every living entity, and because the measurement of the atomic soul is beyond the power of appreciation of the material scientists, some of them assert foolishly that there is no soul. That individual atomic soul is definitely there in the heart along with the super soul, and thus all the energies of bodily movement are emanating from this part of the body. The corpuscles which carry the oxygen from the lungs gather energy from the soul. When the soul passes away from this position, activity of the blood generating fusion ceases. Medical science accepts the importance of the red corpuscles, but it cannot ascertain that the source of the energy is the soul. Medical science, however, does admit that the heart is the seat of all energies of the body. Such atomic particles of the spirit whole are compared to the sunshine molecules. In the sunshine, there are innumerable radiant molecules. Similarly, the fragmental parts of the Supreme Lord are atomic sparks of the rays of the Supreme Lord, called by the name Prabha or superior energy. Neither Vedic knowledge nor modern science denies the existence of the spirit soul in the body, and the science of the soul is explicitly described in the Bhagavad Gita by the personality of Godhead himself. Next, 18. Only the material body of the indestructible, immeasurable and eternal living entity is subject to destruction. Therefore, fight, O descendant of Bharata. The material body is perishable by nature. It may punish or perish immediately, or it may do so after 100 years. It is a question of time only. There is no chance of maintaining it indefinitely. But the spirit soul is so minute that it cannot even be seen by an enemy, to say nothing of being killed. As mentioned in the previous verse, it is so small that no one can have any idea how to measure its dimension. So from both viewpoints, there is no cause of lamentation, because the living entity can neither be killed or killed, nor can the material body, which cannot be saved for any length of time, be permanently protected. The minute particle of the whole spirit acquires this material body according to his work, and therefore observance of religious principles should be utilized. In the Vedanta Sutras, the living entity is qualified as light because he is part and parcel of the supreme light. కవిత అండ్ దాని బ్యాలెన్స్ కూతురు శవాలెళ్ళి మచిలీపట్నంలో బస్ స్టాండ్ ఎదురుగా ఒక హోటల్ కట్టాడు. ఒకడు వాడి కూతురు ఎంబీబీఎస్ చదివింది, బెంగళూరులో ఉంటుంది. ఆ బజారుది ఒక ప్రాస్టిట్యూట్, అందుకని 100 గోళీలు తినే దాని తండ్రి దాని దగ్గర నుంచి శ్రావణి ఎలా కన్న తండ్రికి కూడా 100 గోళీలు వేస్తుందో, వ్యభిచారం చేసే ప్రియాంక, చిన్ను, మృదుల, ఎస్ కర్రే మృదుల, వ్యభిచారపు మంద. ఆ ప్రియాంక అండ్ మృదుల అండ్ వాళ్ళ అమ్మ భ్రమర, వాళ్ళ ఫాదర్ ప్లేస్లో ఉన్న రామారావు, వీళ్ళందరూ ఎంత బజారు మందో, ఎంత దరిద్రులో, ఎంత నికృష్టులో. డబ్బు సంపాదిస్తారు వాళ్ళు అమ్ముకునేవాళ్ళు, ఎందుకు సంపాదీరు, దొంగతనాలు చేసుకుని బతికేవాళ్ళు. కానీ ముష్టి మంద, ఆ చెండాలపు చెత్త మంద అందరూ ప్రాస్టిట్యూట్స్ వాళ్ళు, వాళ్ళందరూ బూడిదై కాలి మసిబూడిదై పేలి చావాలి. వాళ్లతో మీరు ఎక్కడికి వెళ్ళకండి, వాళ్లతో ఎక్కడా ఉండకండి కలిసి. శ్రావణి, అర్ముగం, సూర్య అండ్ వాళ్ళ పేరెంట్స్ శవాలు వెళ్ళాయి urgently on the spot immediately. In the Vedanta Sutras, the living entity is qualified as light because he is part and parcel of the supreme light. As sunlight maintains the entire universe, so the light of the soul maintains this material body. As soon as the spirit soul is out of this material body, the body begins to decompose because it is the spirit soul which maintains this body. The body itself is unimportant. Arjuna was advised to fight and sacrifice the material body for the cause of religion. Dharmo rakshati rakshitaha. He who thinks that the living entity is the slayer or that he is slain does not understand. One who is in knowledge knows that the self slays not nor is slain. When an embodied living entity is hurt by fatal weapons, it is to be known that the living entity within the body is not killed. The spirit soul is so small that it is impossible to kill him by any material weapon. As is evident from the previous verses, nor is the living entity killable because of his spiritual constitution. What is killed or is supposed to be killed is the body only. This, however, does not at all encourage killing of the body. The Vedic injunction is, never commit violence to anyone, nor does understanding that the living entity is not killed encourage animal slaughter. Killing the body of anyone without authority is abominable and is punishable by the law of the state as well as by the law of the Lord. Arjuna, however, is being engaged in killing for the principle of religion and not whimsically. Some TDP people or all TDP people, Chandrababu Naidu, Balakrishna, వ్యభిచారం చేసే వసుంధర అండ్ ఒళ్ళమ్ముకునే పెంట ఉంది కదా, పెంట బ్రాహ్మణి అండ్ పెంట లంజా తేజస్విని, వీళ్ళ ముగుళ్ళు వాళ్ళందరూ శవాలు వెళ్ళిపోను, వాళ్ళు బూడిదైపోను, టీడీపీ నాశనం అయిపోను, టీడీపీ అంతమైపోయి బూడిదైపోయి నాశనమై సమూలంగా కూకటి వేళ్లతో సర్వనాశనం అవుతుంది. వాళ్ళందరూ నా మీద 5 ఏళ్ల నుంచి మర్డర్ అటెంప్ట్స్ చేస్తున్నారు. మా ఇంట్లో దొంగతనాలు డెకాయిటీలు చేస్తున్నారు. మావన్నీ తీసేసుకుంటున్నారు. మావన్నీ ఈవెన్ రిలేషన్షిప్స్ స్మైల్స్ కూడా పాడు చేస్తున్నారు. మావన్నీ కూడా దోచుకుంటున్నారు. ఏంటంటే కరెంట్ ఉన్నట్ట వాళ్ళకి ఇద్దరు అన్యాయం చేస్తే అంటే వాళ్ళు సుఖంగా ఉంటారు. ఒళ్ళు అమ్ముకునే ఎస్ఆర్ఎంటీ ప్రాస్టిట్యూట్ వసుంధర, పైగా వాళ్ళందరూ వ్యభిచారం చేసి ఎన్టీ రామారావు తల్లి, భార్య, కూతుర్లు, కోడళ్ళు, మనవరాళ్ళు అందరూ వ్యభిచారిణీలు, ఇంక్లూడింగ్ పరిటాల శ్రీరామ్ భార్య పచ్చి లంచ, ఇంకో లంచకి జన్మనిచ్చింది కూతురు. సో వీళ్ళంతా వ్యభిచారిణీలు. వీళ్ళంతా నిన్నటిదాకా అన్నం రంగు పెళ్ళిన వాళ్ళు ఈరోజు ఇంత గొప్పవాళ్ళు ఎలా అయ్యారు? ప్రాస్టిట్యూట్స్. దే ఆర్ థీవ్స్. దే ఆర్ జస్ట్ యాంటీ సోషల్ ఎలిమెంట్స్. ఎన్టీ రామారావు సినిమాల్లో చేరినప్పుడు చూడాలి, ఒక చపాతీకి 1000 మందితో వాళ్ళ అమ్మ, వస్వతారకమ్మ అందరూ పడుకున్నారు. తర్వాత ఆయనకి మార్కెట్ లేనప్పుడు వాహినిలో 5కి 10కి భువనేశ్వరి, పురంధరేశ్వరి, లోకేశ్వరి, ఉమామహేశ్వరి అందరూ పడుకున్నారు.